We need a break after the adoption of the agenda, right? Recess for the vote.
Yes, there are displayed.
Mike, are you up there?
You snuck in.
You come down here for a minute, please.
Those shoes are awesome. Yes, sir. Thanks for that, too. Roll call, please, Mr. Davis.
Mrs. Eichholz?
Here.
Mr. Marks?
Here.
Mrs. Singh?
Here.
Mr. Summerall?
Here.
Mr. Tullis?
Here. At this time, is there a motion to adopt the regular meeting agenda?
Still move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. At this time, we will stand in recess until 7 o'clock.
Thanks, Mike. So that's what you come out.
Davis, any public commentary?
We have none this evening.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to correspondence, recognition, and announcements.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start with a short slideshow this evening, which is kind of out of order. I'm going to go with letter D first because Dr. Stewart is busy initiating a student at Ohio State today. I'd like to share a couple of resources and some summary because we haven't been together in over a month, but a lot has been happening around Indian Hill this summer. So mainly for our audience, we want to just review quickly. This summer, we onboarded a new principal at Indian Hill Middle School, Miss Lauren Gentine. I want to welcome Lauren. She is off and running. Staff has been meeting with her the last couple of days. We also hired 14 new faculty members, 8 aides, 3 substitute bus drivers. We have current staff, 10 of them, who are in new roles this year, including our new K-12 Dean of Students, Danielle Lintz, who had been a 4th grade teacher at IHES for some time. And just to give you a snapshot of the human capital work that goes on behind the scenes in the district this past summer, 803 applicants were screened and 183 interviews were conducted to build the team, and we welcomed everybody in orientation that Mr. Nichols led a week ago, and it's a very talented group joining the Brave family. This summer was also the launch of our personalized professional learning plan, which is a major part of our strategic plan implementation, the IH Promise. And our staff has done an incredible job of taking their own professional learning to a new level. This model, board members, is one of less than a handful in the state of Ohio and one of maybe 20 in the nation where we are truly personalizing professional learning, not just for compliance work for licensure, but to deepen learning that ultimately directly impacts children in the classroom. I know Julie is here tonight. Piper, I want to just thank our teachers and our administrators and our classified staff members who participated this summer. When you look at some of this data up here, the number of hours earned just through book studies this summer, 650 plus hours. This is time that our teachers are putting in to better their craft and ultimately to impact children. We're so thrilled at how this model is working, and obviously when our staff works hard and they get to trade that time later in the year, it makes their work more flexible and how they approach their career more flexible. So we're proud of all of our staff that took part, and this is us just getting started this summer. Dr. Kim Given did a lot of work with this model, Mark Richardson, Dr. Stewart, and of course our IHEPO leaders and teacher leaders at every building who decided that they would give this a try. So we're thrilled with this data and the stats from the summer. Also, we will do a major presentation next month on our strategic plan, the IH Promise, and the initiatives that we are beginning to research, those that are in discovery and those that are in implementation. But just to give you a little idea here of what's coming, there will be meetings happening throughout the fall, and faculty and staff taking part in initiative teams where they will dive deeper into one of the 10 initiatives. And if you've been paying attention, for anybody listening in the audience tonight, throughout the summer, our Streamlined Communications Initiative is already up and running and being fully implemented with targeted newsletters to groups. That was a direct result of input and feedback from our community members about what they wanted to see with our communications. Just want to remind everybody that we work with some really important strategic partners when it comes to students' wellness. Health, wellness, mindfulness, mental health, all of these issues that are front of mind as we're returning to school for everyone. We have some strategic partners in Cincinnati Children's Hospital, Mind Peace, 1 in 5, and of course we have our own Brave Character Education program that our staff works very hard on. They've actually spent the last 2 days in professional learning sessions, both full days, working on mindfulness, wellness, and Brave Character Education lessons to make sure that that program, which was board approved 3 years ago, is fully implemented with a range of academic and wellness activities throughout the school year. Also, just a reminder about our committee calendar for the year. These will be posted to the website after tonight's meeting, but we have several of our quarterly engagement opportunities with the community. We started last year, and these dates will be shared again. Thank you. So, a couple of recognitions this evening and some announcements, and I know Mr. Tullis, you probably would like to jump in on this first one, but I would like to take a moment to thank our staff members, Brian Phelps, our athletic director, Amy Clark, our activities director, and our high school principal, Jeff Damadeo, who worked with a small committee of community members to organize our first annual IH golf outing. It was a wonderful event. Held in Loveland at the country club there, O'Bannon, and we had some volunteers who took the lead, like Scott Holtzoffel and Bobby Slattery, IH graduates who gave time to help out as committee members, and all the lead sponsors, Wall Gaynor, all of the sponsors and partners who helped to support this outing that benefited athletics and activities. I just would like to send a big shout out and thank you to. This will become an annual tradition at Indian Hill, and I think it was a great launch.
Yeah, I can just echo the thanks. It was a great event. We had a good turnout on a crummy weather day. I know those events don't happen without a lot of work from a lot of people. Thanks for everybody. I got to play with Mr. Konecki, Mr. Mark, Mr. Barrett, who's in the audience, and going to go ahead and go on record stating that next year I'll probably have some different golfers, maybe somebody who can play. No. But it was a great time. We had a lot of fun and appreciate everybody's efforts to that end.
Thank you.
Anytime.
And the golf was directed at Mr. Konecki and myself as well. So.
Yes.
I'm so proud of everybody who was there that day, and we had a great time, I think, with the group. A lot of sponsors, too many to name tonight, but over 15 different sponsor groups. And again, just getting started, a lot of community members that participated, I think over 100. Very proud of the efforts of everybody who was involved. Next up, I'd like to invite Ms. Milana Barrett to come up to the stage here for a moment, please. Milana was selected and attended a special accounting and business camp this year at Miami University of Ohio that's available to rising sophomores, juniors, and seniors. She was the only student from Indian Hill who attended. This is a 3-day, 2-night camp in July, and that's about the extent that I know about all the activities, except that I know that Milana was impacted by the camp. And so first, I want to congratulate you, Milana, for participating in that camp. We have some Red Hawks here who are very excited to hear about your experience. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the camp and what you learned.
So it was a camp at the Farmer School of Business, and it was an accounting camp. So the big 4 firms for accounting, they had different talks with us, and we got to learn a little bit about accounting and like auditors and stuff like that. But it was also more like, I felt like it was more of a recruiting process too, because they toured us around a lot and we got to see all the different buildings, and I got to meet a lot of great people that I still talk to, and it was really great. I really enjoyed it.
What grade are you going to be in this year, Milana?
10th grade.
So how does this shape your idea of when you hear us talk about career pathways or possible, college exploration? How does this influence you with what you do as a student?
Well, it kind of gave me more of a window into what it'd be like to be a college student, and it gave me an idea of what certain careers would look like in business, like accounting especially, since that was what the camp was. And it was just it was really cool to see what it'd be like to be in college. We got to stay in the dorms, and we got to hang out at night, and it was really cool.
And what was the highlight of the camp for you in terms of the contests, the competitions that you participated in?
Well, we got to do like skits and groups that I thought were really fun. But my favorite part was there was they called it like an adventure race, where you kind of ran around the campus and did different challenges with your team, and it was really fun and active, so I really enjoyed it.
Well, that's a great experience. You get to spend a lot of time at Miami, obviously learning a little bit about a career pathway, but also about a great university, and we're really proud that you represented Indian Hill there. That's a select camp, so congratulations. We're very proud of you.
Thank you.
Also, want to celebrate one of our golfers, Alyssa Kerr, who you may have heard shot a hole-in-one last Tuesday as we were kicking off the fall sports season. I don't know in recent history if we've had a hole-in-one at Indian Hill in years. At least to my knowledge, we have not. In the last 4 years, this is amazing. The women's team started off at an invitational with the low golfer and a hole-in-one, and the boys won their invitational tournament. So just a great start to the fall sports season. We're so proud of Alyssa Kerr, and again, another person I probably need to get some lessons from.
Sounds like she needs to be in the first.
Yeah, she should be in there as
This year
force.
she will be replacing you on the force next year.
Okay. So thank you, and again, thank you for being here, Milana. Next up, we're going to have a short operations update from our director, Jim Nichols, and then we also have a special presentation from our project team tonight on all the progress that's happened with our facilities throughout the summer. And we will also share this as a link after the meeting tonight on the website, but want to take some time to review all the work that's happened. I just want to take a moment to recognize all the time and effort that our director, Jim Nichols, has put in with the project team and our project team members who are here to present this evening. There have been a lot of meetings and a lot of work to get ready for the opening of the school year this week, but we are ready thanks to all that hard work. So thank you, Jim, and turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Konecny. I will try not to steal their thunder because there's a lot of exciting things happening on campus, and we are going right to the minute to get everything ready, and we got a lot of work done, which will help us next summer too as well. So, but just a couple of things I will share with you. We have, as always, been working on all kinds of our safety measures to make sure that we're providing a safe experience for our students. There is no more important job that we have than taking care of them. And those things that we do annually, but even spent a little more time. We spent some time with our Rangers this summer. We did a drill with them last week that went really well, and just practicing our ability to communicate with them and their ability to communicate with us in any kind of event. And I really appreciate our Indian Hill Rangers, their presence on our campus at all times, just to be here and just to engage our students and our faculty. It's not out of the norm for them to be here, and I think it's just really helpful for us. So we've had that going on. In addition, we've got some new traffic patterns, and I won't talk too much about those. I think we're going to see some pictures of them. But I will tell you, our principals, through some of their newsletters, our new communication tool, pushed out maps of that. So if you haven't had a chance to go online and look at those newsletters, they have it in there. We posted on social media. I believe our middle school principals today got in their car and drove the brand new route that you would take as a car rider at the middle school. So that was kind of exciting, and so you'll be able to watch that video. But we've got all that information out there, so please take some time to take a look at that. We do want to encourage anybody that comes onto campus. There is still a lot going on. We're going to do a great job of separating all of our construction activity from our students and what's going on there, but it's still use extreme caution. We have students that walk out to their car after school and they come in, and you just need to go really slowly in those areas. So take your time, and we'll have some good signage up to help everybody figure out where they need to be. And then also I want to point out, related to safety, we've got a new section on our website. It's under students and parents, and it talks about safety. And I know sometimes we get questions about what kind of drills we run. We also have some great information there about communication. Of course, we all are familiar if a snow day occurs with the calls we get and things like that, but we use those same tools to inform you of anything going on. So make sure that you take a look at that. In addition, on there, you've also got some great information about our new air purification system that's in all of our classrooms, and making sure that our air is as clean as it can be, especially in these times. We want to make sure. So we appreciate our partners at Protect Ed who helped us put that system in. And then we know that at the end of our project, we're going to have some great updated entrances that will also enhance our security, making sure that everybody that comes in gets to come in a safe way. If you are a visitor coming to our campus, you will be asked, please bring your identification so that we can give you a sticker. We use a system that helps us log everybody in, and we always know who's in our building. So I will conclude with that, but we are super excited, and I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Konecny.
Jim, if I could, just a question. With all the construction activity that's occurring, we're going to have a lot of people on our campus that we don't necessarily, bring on via subcontractors and the like. How are we handling that separation from construction activity to the other portions of campus to any building access?
Yeah, so each site really has its own plan. When you look at a site like the elementary school, there's no reason. They have gated off and fenced off the area they'll be working in. there is no access to the building from their construction site or vice versa. Our students can't get out there except for emergency exits for the fire department, obviously, and we have to be able to get out of the building. But those places are separated. If you look at a place like the primary school, they are working on the front interior, and we have a line of division there, and there's going to be, you have to have an access code to get through even that space to get into the main core building. If there is any need for construction to come into the buildings, they will come sign in just like everybody else. They will get their ID, they'll get a sticker. So those protocols are followed no matter who you are, and even if you're there every day. So we do have a site plan for all those things. The majority of our construction outside the primary school, though, is outside in fenced-in areas.
I just want to commend you, Mr. Nichols. I know that not only are you working strategically and thinking things through and getting with experts, but you're also willing to put boots on the ground. I was driving by, meet the teacher, primary school, and look over, and there's Mr. Nichols, kind of looking, making sure everything's going well. And there's not a lot of leaders that do that, and just appreciate the effort and care that you put into the district and to our families. And I know that a lot of people really appreciate that. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I really like directing some traffic out there.
I'll
get some more time on Thursday and Friday.
I think we just want to reiterate with the traffic patterns and safety, and there's always some chatter at the start of the school year. Very proud just to report, right? Our students have been very cautious around campus. We have not had safety issues involving students or staff to date, right? We're working with the project team in an ongoing way to communicate about those things. But as traffic is coming back to campus, we are asking people to look at those traffic pattern maps, take a look at the newsletters that are coming out, make sure that you familiarize yourself, because when you come into the parking lots, people want to look to see all the changes going on around the same lot that they need to park in. Most of the construction is not happening in that lot, but people get distracted when they want to see all the progress that's going on next door, especially at the high school here. And we've all seen a lot of change in the last few weeks. So it's good to familiarize yourself, take a look around, and I know Jim has worked with some of our partners. There will be some other signage up, direction, caution signage, so that our students and visitors and guests are paying attention as they're entering and exiting campus. And our project team members are exiting and entering in different places as well, and that's important to note. So you need to really watch that traffic on Drake Road every day because there are different vehicles coming from different exits.
Okay. Mr. Nichols, we'll turn it over to our project team members. I know Chris Patek, Chris Soto, I see are here coming down. Chris, I have your file here, so if you want to just tell me, I can advance it for you over time.
All right, thanks all for having us back again for the board meeting this evening. As Kurt mentioned, I think Chris and me want to go through kind of high level, kind of reiterate some of the things that Mr. Nichols just talked about and the work that's been happening over the past, really year and a half plus as we're developing these projects and implementing these projects. We always talk about, right off the bat, a lot of the key points that are being made throughout about the district and the school and what this community is all about. So I think this slide has always been front and center, and with our kind of eye on the goal of what we're trying to achieve here as a community and as a group. And I think all of these things we continue to circle back on and make sure, are we achieving these, how are we achieving these, whether it's with the designs, with the construction, implementation, and so on. So Chris is going to go through some of the schedule stuff here, high level, and then we'll jump into some design elements. But I think just as a team, we're just I think really excited, just as everyone else is, to see progress. So much time has been spent for a long time now, and just trying to get things out of the ground and stuff that people don't often see, the planning side. And so starting to actually see physical examples of the work is really exciting for us as well. So Chris, if you want to go through some of the timetable stuff, and I'll jump back in.
Hi, good evening. So this timeline, we've got a lot of squares there, a lot of months. It's a long process, and it's very encouraging to see the number of months that are in the rearview mirror, and we're closing in on the end of the project and completion of construction. So the last year or so, we've put a lot of hours into relocating utilities and demolition, a lot of prep work, and all that planning is paying off with the construction that we've seen over the summer of '22. Looking further ahead, completion of each of the buildings. The elementary and primary schools are on track to finish at the end of summer of '23. We have some phases that are strategically waiting until the summer of '23, including the demolition of the sawtooth. And then the middle school will be wrapping up in November towards the end of 2023. Next slide. So starting off with the middle school, we're currently in phase 3, and the site will look like this for the duration of the school year and into next year. So this is straight from the logistics plan or the traffic flow plan that's been communicated out to the community. In the middle there, we have the bus loop where buses will be entering and exiting. The pink lines towards the bottom, that's the middle school drop-off. It's very similar to what was in place over the last year or so. Just we have new roadways that we'll be following. And then to the north, in the high school lot, that's the same traffic pattern as always for student drop-off. I would like to point out that as we start, we're welcome back students on Thursday. In addition to all the signage and the planning and the videos and the maps that have been distributed, we'll also have personnel on site to help direct cars so everybody knows where to go. So we'll have 3 to 4 people on each site to assist with that. The first couple of days, there will be some rubberneckers, like Mr. Konecki mentioned, that people will be looking at construction. I think things will simmer down after the first few days, and we'll get into a flow for the rest of the school year.
Chris, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Thanks for all the work you guys have been doing. Have we thought through that first week? Just obviously construction has to kind of come in and out on the drag. Obviously there's a different entrance that they're using for coming in, but have we thought about in a certain period pausing? You probably already thought this through, making sure that the main window for the high school, that for a 20-30 minute window, we're not having anybody who's coming in and come out.
Yeah, we have the drop-off and pickup schedules for all the buildings. For example, at the middle school, we're currently, we have some large material deliveries scheduled over the next few days. We have trucks staging off-site, and they are told they cannot come in until after that drop-off window in the morning. So we've been very strategic about that and communicating that to the subcontractors. So the progress over the last few months will focus mostly on summer. So June of 2022, in the top right-hand corner, we established the building pad for foundations for the new middle school, as well as did a lot of site demolition for building out the new bus lot. So on the bottom left-hand corner, this is what it looks like as of yesterday, or actually probably this morning. We have a new bus lot established. To the left is a middle school car drop-off or student drop-off. So we have a separation there. Students will follow a path around the perimeter of the bus lot, so they're not entering or crossing bus traffic as they make their way over to the high school entrance. Out in front of the auditorium, we have steel that's been put up over the summer, and we're continuing to receive steel deliveries. We have another delivery scheduled for Friday, and they'll continue over the next few weeks and months.
Go back to the real quick, Kirk. One thing I just want to point out, Chris talked through. So I think what's interesting about this is we've been, teams have been taking aerial images throughout the course. You can see just about a year ago, September of last year, demolition at middle school started. Recall there's a lot of prep work that happened up to that point as well. So again, I think just pointing out the amount of work that's happened, and in particular the stuff you can actually see over the last month and a half, which is on the bottom, is really amazing. I think there's been a lot of, effort on behalf of the staff, administration, the team to get there. So you I think just interesting to see that that progression. If you've noticed too, I think if you get on the website, the construction zone, there's some recent videos posted as well that show a time lapse. That'll continue to be updated as well. So really just a remarkable amount of work that's been happening behind the scenes to get to where we are today. So we're really excited about that. The next couple of slides, really nice one, Kurt. What we did was we went out and tried to look at a comparison of kind of where we are now, where we're going to be as we get into the spring and summer of next year. You'll start to see again more steel and structures come out of the ground. So on the upper left, you'll see each of these slides consistent. It's just a a view from a similar vantage point within the last couple of days. And on the right is the renderings that have been posted over the past year and a half. So the community entrance, where you see the steel going up if you come onto the campus, that's going to be that new connector element in the community entrance that takes you into some of the different spaces in the middle school and high school. And you see on the right what that's going to be, and so you're starting to get an idea of what that's going to look like in the scale. The next one is just a little bit more close-up shot, showing the height. If you kind of walk toward there at some point, we'll have some hard hat tours to really start to get a feel for how that's really going to look in relationship to the other buildings. That's kind of this initial phase of steel. And as Chris pointed out, there's more steel that's coming here over the next couple of weeks, and we'll start seeing the rest of the building coming up as well. Go to the next one. This is on the opposite side, the back side of the school, looking toward there's foundations in the ground. You got to use your imagination, but you can see where once we do the middle school, we've been talking about these outdoor spaces and project porches, and just the amount of space that's going to be captured on that side of the site once it's all said and done. The foundations in the foreground are these stair elements that come down off of those project porches, and so again, just starting to get a feel for the footprint and where it's all going to be as you get back in those areas. Another view from within what will be that connector space where the steel is from a similar vantage point. As you come in, and ultimately the auditorium, will have a new face to it as you come into the theater, into the space we're in here right now. And again, this new kind of brand entrance element that will really, I think, celebrate what Indian Hill is all about. The next one's a similar again vantage point.
Chris, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
On that middle school and high school connector, what's the timeline on it? Like, when will it be done and ready?
I'm sorry, say again.
The middle school and high school connector, what's the timeline on it? Like, when will it be done?
So it's all in a similar time frame as the rest of the middle school. So even though the steel is going up now, those spaces, will be completed at the same time as the rest of the school. I think, Chris, you're on top. There's some areas that'll start to be turned over as we get into next summer.
Yeah, so with the connector starting first in the project, there is an opportunity to turn some areas over early. So it could be possible, say early next school year, that connector will be open and available to use for functions.
So till that time, because we do have a lot of performances in the auditorium, so kids will have to use the high school entrance?
Yeah, all foot traffic will be routed through the high school entrance, and then we also have a temporary entrance set up near the gym. That's where 7th graders will be entering so they can access the building. So that's the closest entrance to the gym and the auditorium.
And then, of course, the what's to come. We've been sharing a lot of these different images over the past several months. So the new welcome center, the new entrance, right, with all different features and elements, the safety components that Jim touched on, the village green, the dining areas, these neighborhood spaces we've been talking about, and just all the great learning environments that will be in this new middle school. So again, as the spaces start to come out of the ground and take shape, we'll start to see a lot of these elements more clearly. And we'll start to again share some of the imagery as the construction progresses. But again, I think just really looking forward to and excited about where the construction is going, where the progress is going, and kind of as we get into the next several months.
Where are we on selecting the finishes? I mean, we saw the boards out front, but what's the timing on all that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
So I saw the boards out front for the finishes,
yeah.
but what's the timing on selections and
Yeah, so at this point, if you've had a chance to hear, those are here this evening. We do have some of those finishes out in front. At this point, the primary selections have been made for the finishes and all the buildings. That was kind of part of the bidding process, the GMP process, and all that. We have been circling back with some of this faculty and staff to make some kind of final decisions on certain things. But for the most part, finishes have been selected. Materials, exterior materials and so on have been selected, and I'm moving forward with what is being shown at this point. So,
I think it's important to point out for anybody who's here tonight, though, and as we move forward, when you see the color palettes and what's shared on the websites. So, for example, on this slide, the bottom right hand and the top right hand picture are showing views of the future neighborhoods. there will be 3 of those neighborhoods. Each of them would have a different color palette aligned to the overall themes of the whole project, but those colors in each neighborhood would look a little bit different. They're not going to be the same. So when people do see the boards out in the lobby, it's just, you may see a range of colors within a theme, and there's a reason why at the middle school, for example, those colors may look a little different at the elementary or the primary based on what we're doing with some, for example, the primary, some view finding colors and direction that's in the flooring might be a little different than what you might see at the middle school.
All right, over at the elementary school, we're currently in Phase 1B, which takes us through the 22-23 school year. Over the past few months, we've been focused on the front side of the building where we've built out a new turnaround. In the top left-hand corner, there's a circle kind of towards the bottom, adjacent to the bus lot. And then in the back, highlighted in orange, we've been working on the building pad for the new addition. We should see foundation starting within the next week, and block will start going up in about 2 weeks. So we'll see some progress out of the ground. We've spent a lot of time coordinating with the district and community for the revised traffic flow at the elementary school. This site in particular had some challenges since we're building on the parking lot, and we really didn't have a place to offset that. Thankfully, the districts worked with the adjacent Indian Hill Church to help with some capacity and queuing issues at this site. So that's all reflected in the traffic flow maps that have been sent out. Parents that are dropping off will enter at the church, go through the parking lot, and then snake their way around through the available driveways there as they drop off their students. Looking further ahead, not until summer 23, we'll demolish the sawtooth and build out the new parking lot and have that ready for the fall 23. So these are some aerial views of the site work that was completed.
Sorry, did the soil turn out okay over there for that building?
Yeah, we've been pretty fortunate at the elementary school.
Awesome.
Yes. The aerial views for the elementary school, you see that traffic circle, the turnaround up front. The bus lot was expanded slightly. There's an additional 4 or 5 parking spots there. And then towards the top of the picture, you can see the building pad starting to take shape. And I would imagine the next check-in, you'll clearly see the outline of the addition and what that's going to look like coming out of the ground.
So, a quick question, where is the playground here in the elementary school? With all this construction happening, the playground was in the back, right?
Correct, yes.
So is that moved someplace?
Right now it's on the field, the turf field next to the school. That's the temporary area for most gym classes, and also recess time they'll be using Shawnee Field.
Shawnee Field.
We also moved a little bit of equipment. You can kind of see it there in the picture in the grassy area right there. There's a hoop out there as well, so that they can use the bus lot at times when we're not obviously bringing buses in and out.
Yeah, I think the Gaga pits were the most important thing too.
We would not forget the Gaga.
So these images, again, at the elementary school showing vantage points, Chris pointed out, with all the foundation and pad prep work happening in the back of the building, and then on the right, what that new unified arts wing is slated to look like. So we'll start to see that take shape over the next several months. Get the next one. So obviously then more to come, right? As that building starts to come out of the ground. We talked about there's going to be continued improvements at the existing main entrance. That some of that work's going to start happening more in the next summer, so as we don't disrupt the traffic in the main building. The same kind of features and branding you saw, and that we'll see at all the buildings that will be happening there as well. And on the right, the bottom, the village green, as we talked through, this new multi-purpose performance and recreation space, the iLab, classroom spaces, music spaces, all of those things that will start to take shape. And as was mentioned earlier, I'm saying kind of finished pallets and things that have been developed at this point for those projects as seen. And you're just looking forward to that building starting to take some form and shape.
All right, lastly, with the primary school, we're currently in phase 2. We're currently focused on the new addition out front of the building, but before I get there, what we've accomplished this past summer is we've We've renovated a few office spaces. We've installed new flooring in the main academic wing. We've renovated the group restrooms and the bus entry. The group restrooms still have a touch more work to do. We had some materials that were running late that are coming in over the next week or so to allow those bathrooms to be put into use. But the bus entry is complete, as well as the offices. And I encourage everybody to take a look. It's very exciting, and the refresh, it's beautiful. Then for the rest of the school year, like I said, we're focusing on the new addition, entry, and lobby. So we've taken over that space. We've gutted about approximately 80% of the partitions and finishes in there. It's quite bizarre walking into the auditorium and not seeing any seats in there. So the upcoming refresh, it's very exciting to imagine what that's going to look like once it's all done.
Chris, just a quick question. You said on the bus entrance, that's just the building part, right? It's not, are we redoing the asphalt on the bus side?
No, just the bus entry lobby itself.
Okay.
The
Are we
interior.
redoing that asphalt at some point?
I don't think that's currently part of the project,
Okay.
but that's something that we could look at doing. Yeah. So the addition and renovations up front, those will continue through the end of the 22-23 school year. And then fast forwarding to next summer, we have one last push to renovate the kitchen, the cafeteria, and the playground. So we'll be taking over those spaces and replacing the remaining flooring in the building.
Just as a reminder, and again, people can see these up close with some of the releases from the principals. The traffic flow at the primary school is different. Accessing the principals and the secretaries in the main office is a temporary main office. It's in a different part of the building near the playground and parking lot on that side. And that's where those temporary offices are. So as parents are learning some of the new flow in and out of that building, we will be there to help. In these next couple days, we've had a lot of people in the buildings already for Meet the Teacher and kindergarten orientation, and so they're kind of getting oriented themselves. But that will be a big change this year, that the temporary offices are on the other side of the primary school, and that's where parents would pick up and drop off and access children who may have an appointment during the day or need to go see a doctor or have a checkup or something.
What are they doing this year, Kirk, for classroom space they would have used in the auditorium? That's obviously going to be out of service for a while.
They'll be using the gym, they'll be using the cafeteria and other classrooms. And during the pandemic, Ms. Watson and our teachers got very good at moving things around on carts, and they're going to continue to do a great job this year, and knowing that they're going to have a great new home that's being renovated.
The pictures. One thing I just want to wait to get inside. So as Chris mentioned, starting work on the new addition in the front half of that building. If you recall, it's really where the majority of the work will be happening, and it's more transformative. So on the lower right, what that new entrance will ultimately look like. There's now fencing and things up to separate traffic between construction and students. But that starts to take more form and transformation here over the next several months. In the front of that building, much of what we won't be able to see from the road is what's happening on the inside. Go to the next one. Just another vantage point of that new addition. As that canopy out there comes down and some of the elements start to take shape on the front of the building. Next, so on the inside, Chris mentioned that they've been able to start demolition a little bit ahead of schedule on the front half of the building, thanks to kind of coordination with staff and faculty over there. But this is actually looking back toward the existing entrance, and you can see a lot of those areas have started to be demolished, and the transformation on the right, when that becomes the sort of main entrance, the lobby, village green space, looking at some different elements that will be in that space for students from a exploratory discovery standpoint. The next one. This is a space Chris mentioned, which is right now the bus entrance area. And one thing just to point out, this space as well as some of the other areas that have had some work this summer, some of it's not final. I think the idea was to get this in place as much as possible for the start of the school year. So as you walk through, you may see some things. There's also fire suppression that's been started. It's a big part of this building was to provide fire suppression throughout the entire building, which isn't there today. So there's some piping things you might see that are exposed. Just be aware that that's not all done yet. So there's some things that Skansky did this summer to prep for next school year and for next summer, and those things will be finished up kind of as the final project's done. But this at least starts to give you an idea of what some of these areas will look like one way, shape, or form, and just dressing it up. And it's amazing what a new coat of paint, floor, and ceiling can do to an old space, along with some of the reconfiguration. The multi-purpose room, if you recall, we came in the building off to the right. It had a tiered floor to it, and a big part of this was just taking that floor, making it flat and more functional. So on the right, you'll see what that'll look like and be able to just be used in more ways in the new building or the renovated building when it's all done. But nice to see the auditorium. All the seats are gone. All the finishes are out. So again, a transformation of the space as well, just dressing it up, all new seating, new stage, acoustics, AV, lighting, all that is kind of being planned and worked on in this auditorium space. So it's nice to see it in progress. And then again, more to come, just like everything else. So Chris mentioned the cafeteria is a big thing that'll be done as part of the overall food service next summer. So that'll continue to exist as is for the school year. And then the entrance itself, the welcome components and all the branding and safety features that'll go into that, just like the other buildings, to really kind of provide a whole new identity to the primary school when it's all said and done. So a lot going on, a lot in progress, a lot's been done. And still a lot more to go. So again, I think the team has worked really hard. It's amazing what Chris and his team have been able to do over the past couple of months. So continue to work with the team and appreciate everyone's support and help on it as we move forward.
So one quick question again, Chris. I really appreciate all the work you guys have done. It is really towards end of July, I was kind of getting nervous seeing all the pictures that Mr. Kennedy was posting. That school was about to start and we were still in the construction, and it was scary, but you guys did an amazing job pulling everything together. So one question is, for the primary school, all these, the auditorium, the front entrance, will it be done by December? Is that what the timeline says? I was looking at the timeline and I could not understand that.
All of the work of the primary interior that can happen throughout the year will happen, but it will not be turned back over to us until next summer.
Oh, even the front entrance and the auditorium?
Yeah, correct.
Since the students won't have the access to auditorium this year at all?
No.
So we understand the request, and we're currently evaluating our schedule to see if there are opportunities to possibly turn over spaces early. Part of the challenge of that is just the way the space is laid out, is that how can we continue to separate the construction work from staff and students. So we have to approach it from that mindset to see what we can turn over early and make available to the district.
So then the question is for you, Mr. Kennedy. So where are all the performances for the primary school going to happen? Here?
They'll happen on multiple spaces, and if we need to transport the students or have them come to a different venue, we will. We'll be using the auditorium, we'll be using the elementary school in different ways, and we'll be using the primary school in different ways, different rooms like the gymnasium or the cafeteria. But we will also have performances here at the auditorium.
Okay, makes sense.
So I just want to thank the project team members and everybody else who's here. As Mr. Mendenhall from NCS was coming in tonight, he said, this is a great presentation to remind everybody that this is a multi-site project. Every building and every site has a budget. Every building and every site has a timeline. And to coordinate all that is a lot of work, and our project team members have done a great job thus far, and they've also been pressed. We want to make sure that we're keeping to the timelines and turning the buildings over to the students as soon as we can. The other piece of this as we move forward is that there will continue to be changes in final design, and I think the board has done a great job of trying to stay on top of what's going on with the market, which we'll get to. But
People are going to be envious of these projects when they see them completed. That's what you said, right, Mr. Mendenhall?
yeah, I liked hearing that on the way in. I think it's a great reminder and a great celebration of all the progress that's going on. So
Thank you all for that presentation this evening. Thank you.
Just to echo Kirk's comments, there's a lot of moving pieces here. It's a very complex issues that we're facing. So there's been a lot of work, there's been a lot of meetings, a lot of collaboration. So it shouldn't be taken lightly what's going on here. We should be proud of what's happened so far, and we are going to have a fantastic finished product.
Thank you, everybody. I echo everybody's thanks. Pretty exciting to see steel going up and the structure of the building. With that, we'll move on to our superintendent's reports.
Thank you, Mr. Tullis. A couple of items tonight. First up, under 7A, the approval of our athletic handbook. This is an annual update that follows our code of conduct, policies and guidelines. Item B is another resolution declaring impracticability of transportation, offering payment to parents in lieu of transportation. Letter C, we have some personnel actions, tuition reimbursements, and professional meetings that go on to the other page and the addendum here. Some change to certified contract there for an art teacher who are moving to full-time. Approval of some classified staff contracts with bus drivers. A slate of approvals of supplementals that take place for activities. Many of these are activities that took place during the summer for both students and staff. We have a retirement resignation under number 4, and we have some tuition reimbursement. And if you look at the addendum, we also have some classified substitute approvals under C6 that runs through letter H. If there are no questions, I would ask the board entertain approving items 7A through C6H. Motion?
Just a note of clarification, there wasn't an addendum for this evening.
Oh, am I looking at the wrong page here, Mr. Davis?
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's
You're
okay.
correct. So it would be 7A through C5I. I apologize for it.
So before that, I just want to say to the team, great job, because I know that a lot of time's been put into, when we think about the national teacher shortage across the country and teacher recruitment and letting our, not just certified educators, but our classified staff, how much we value and appreciate them. I think it's really, really powerful, the things that happened over the last year, including things like, looking at all the supplemental contracts and the work that was put in around, creating tiers and different schedules so that folks know exactly where those dollars are being invested in, not only in athletics, but also to move to the arts, and then thinking about providing that supplemental tuition reimbursement. I look down at some of the folks that are on that list. Specifically look at things like Mrs. Kearns, who already is a world-class counselor, and yet she's invested in herself. And I think it's tremendous the work that this team, meaning the leadership, has done to really invest in our staff, not just in the tuition reimbursement and other things that have been around, but that we continue to invest in, because I think I hear often from you all how important it is to communicate and how much we appreciate our staff. And so with that being said, I make a motion to approve 7A through C5.
Second?
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mr. Summerall?
Yes.
Mrs. Eichholz?
Aye.
Mrs. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. Tullis?
Yes. Thank you. Anything else? Mr. Davis, Treasurer's report, please.
Before I begin my report this evening, I just want to say, how cool is accounting camp? Anybody? And I was hoping that before she left, I could ask her if they gave out some swag, because I would love to wear some accounting camp swag. So we'll find out if they did indeed pass that out. But I thought that was great, a wonderful idea, and it's great to see our students get a chance to see what that feels like before they enter the world of college. So congratulations to Miami for presenting that and for our students for going. Under my report for this evening, I would like to approve the minutes of the June 28th regular meeting and the July 18th special meeting. Approve the financial reports for the month ending July 31st, 2022. There's an annual reporting for commercial paper that we have to do each year by Ohio Revised Code. Those attachments were supplied. These are simply supplemental investments that we're allowed to do. We still are making sure we hold on to our principal. They're not risky investments, but we do have some additional reporting that's required by law. Item D is to amend a contract for the 23 school year. That's the Hamilton County ESC. There was a few additional items that we needed to put on there that wasn't on there when we had it approved in June. They were mostly from the line of human resource software.
that we've added on the last few years, and those have helped to improve, streamline that HR capability. That total addition was $36,144.23. Approve the following contracts for 23 school year. We have 4 of those items. Interim Healthcare of Cincinnati for home care and healthcare staffing services. Stepping Stones Incorporated for the Step Up program for 2 of our students. Cincinnati Center for Autism, 1 student. And the Butler County ESC for Union Day Therapeutic School for 1 student. Item F is the annual approval of school year change fund accounts. The two funds you see, the athletic department and cafeteria, these are change funds they hold throughout the year. We also ask that you approve temporary basis for other events as they occur, such as powwow and events like that that do need change funds throughout the year. Item G is a new item for this year. It's a transfer of $170,000 from the general fund to athletics for general operation of athletics. This is something, initiative I've wanted to do for a long time. I've actually done this with the buildings in the district. I've given them cost center. We use the general fund money to fund those different buildings. With athletics, we've always had money that's come out of general fund. We do give them a budget each year. We've never moved it over into their own account, 300, where they have their own supplemental funds. I would like to do this in order to, A, will help the accounting process, B, it'll help the budgeting process, C, it'll give us a little more ability to look at the history instead of trying to have to go back and forth between 2 funds. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I do need board approval for the transfer, but $170,000 has been the budget for athletics out of general fund for a number of years. Item H is an annual transfer that we've done. This was another initiative that I started when I first got to the district. There was no mechanism that was provided for changing out our athletic turf each year, or not each year, but each time it needed change. There were no dollars being set aside. I began the set aside $140,000 to make sure we have the ability to change out those turf fields when needed. You can see what's happened over at Tomahawk Stadium this summer. Beautiful new turf in there. Also helps increase the safety of our athletes that are using it. We are now looking at Shawnee Field, and then the softball and baseball fields will be needed after that. So we continue to put money into those funds, make sure it's available so we can pay for those facilities when it's needed. That transfers for $140,000. Item I is approval of FY23 permanent appropriations. And item J is an acceptance of a donation. This is another thing that we're doing a little differently this year. That should say the IH Boosters. I apologize for that. This is a donation from the IH Boosters for arts and athletics. It's $25,000 for discretionary purchases. Each one of those groups are going to get $12,500 to use to purchase for discretionary items throughout the year. This is something that the boosters have wanted us to kind of help with. They've managed these accounts. Now it gives us a little more control over what's being purchased and making sure that all the items fit the needs of our athletes and the folks in our art department as well. So with that concludes my report for the evening. Are there any questions?
A motion to approve?
I move to approve item 8, A through, just lost it.
J?
A through J with the change to the boosters versus foundation. And letter J.
Second.
Mrs. Eichholz?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mrs. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. Summerall?
Yes.
Mr. Tullis?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mick. Now we'll move on to other business by board administration. Mick, do you want to talk about item A, and then we'll dive into the Finance Committee report?
Sure. So Ohio Revised Code provides a part of that law that says that the treasurer and the superintendent must obtain a surety bond every 3 years in order to perform their duties. and make sure that they're held fiscally responsible should anything happen to funds within the district. Surety bonds are kind of an older thing. It's been around a long time. And over the past few years, there's been some lobbying done to kind of take over the need for a surety bond. Now through our casualty plan, we've already got an employee dishonesty and faithful performance of duty policy that's already part of the plan. This would simply substitute for that surety bond. It would have all the guarantees that that surety bond would have. It would eliminate the cost of about $600 every 3 years that it costs to get those. And it's something we're already doing, and it's been done throughout the state. I've already checked with our county auditor, and they're fine with the replacement of the surety bonds with this type of policy. So that's essentially what this resolution is doing.
Thank you. If we could hear a motion to approve that, then we can go through the rest of the.
We'll move to approve item 9A.
Second.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mr. Summerall?
Yes.
Mrs. Eichholz?
Aye.
Mrs. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. Cullis?
Yes. Thank you. So with that, just to give a little color to folks who may be listening about the overall project and the budget, it's no secret with the inflation we're seeing in the market that's starting to impact and has impacted the project and our budget. We, through the Finance Committee and through discussions and research and work, have been looking at ways to mitigate the inflationary pressures we're seeing and to bring in the project as close to the original estimated numbers as possible. The Finance Committee met on August 9th, and if I could ask Mrs. Eichholz or Mr. Summerall to kind of give an overview of what was discussed, what was reported, and then some options looking at how we finish out the project responsibly going forward.
Yeah, thank you, Barry. So where we are on this is we want to get in front of the rising costs, rising inflation rates. We want to be as judicious as possible and looking at saving in every single penny we can, knowing the environment that we're in with prices going up each week. So what we want to do is get out in front of the supplemental borrowing resolutions with the rates going up. There's going to be a lot of legwork that is needed. And by doing this now, what we can do is have the ability to pivot when we're ready and not be waiting to sign all the paperwork and get all that I's dotted and T's crossed. So this will give us that ability to do that. And then we will have some flexibility while we are getting this done to determine what path or paths we go down in terms of how we structure this. So there's several different options that are laid out that we will be finalizing along that course. The project is 90% bid out. We're waiting for that final 10%. We have really pushed hard to get that final 10% to us by the end of this month so that we can have clear understanding and total transparency of the overall project costs. And then we can act judiciously again to do what we need to in terms of those steps.
And just walk through, we don't have to go through the details on the rates, but in essence, what we're discussing is a private borrowing scenario where the school district, without raising any taxes within the district, can acquire additional dollars to help fund the project, just like your homeowner would acquire a mortgage. Kind of walk through that briefly, if you could.
Yeah, so there's different options there, all the way from a 10 to a 38-year option. And what we want to do is we want to look at what's best for us and try not to stretch out the payments too long. When you look at the interest that's there, how can we find that happy medium to figure out what the best course of action is for us? So looking at those options, the 20 and 30 years seem to be very prevalent now, and trying to figure out which one of those paths we can take. There's a blended approach, that's another option for us. So we can do some of that now and some of it later. So there's definitely some different scenarios that we have to choose from, but I'm very confident that the ones that we are looking at, and Ms. Eichholz was with me and trying to figure out what those are. I feel very comfortable that we will act in the best way in the manner of the school district and try and save us as much money as possible, knowing what we're faced with today.
And one of the reasons that we are recommending that we go ahead with these resolutions now is that I don't think anyone thinks interest rates will be going down anytime soon. The sooner we lock in, the better. But these resolutions give us the option to borrow less if we need to, the way it's written up to. Also gives us the opportunity to look at the different timeframes. I'm of the mindset that we should have as few carrying costs as possible over time, but at the same time not get ourselves in over our heads currently. So the two resolutions that we have give us the flexibility to work with the market as information comes in. And we are, at this point, confident of the numbers that we are looking at for the total borrowing. So this would be a good time to pass these resolutions so that we have the flexibility to do what's right for the district in real time.
No, I just want to thank Ms. Seicholz and Mr. Summerall and the rest of the team that worked on looking through that. That was a lot of work, and meeting with, our municipal advisors, meeting with the investment bankers, with the team. There was a lot of work that went into giving us some options, so I just appreciate that work.
Sure, thank you. I feel like we've gotten some great advice from the people that we've been associated with, and because we've gotten that advice, we're able to make sound educational decisions for what's best for this school district and community.
Well, and I think we've, Mr. Davis has done a lot of work as well, and we've got, I think, the best treasurer in the state. So appreciate all the efforts you do and the amount of hours you put in, the amount of research you put in, and the guidance that you give us. So thank you.
And I think to echo that, to be clear, we wouldn't be in a position to carry this additional borrowing cost if we weren't financially smart and sound today. So that's a reflection of the leadership from the administration, prior boards, and really the community, and making sure that we're going to have the ability to finish this project correctly in the way we all expected.
I would just like to echo what I heard and thank Mick for the work that he put in front of us with the resources to think through the different resolutions. And also just to remind anybody who is paying attention again, the board is looking at flexibility, like Ms. Eichholz said, for the future to lock in the best rates for borrowing when many, many others are faced with a much different situation around the state of Ohio and the nation right now. And I commend the board for making a commitment to finish this original project the way it was intended, not looking at cutting program, not looking at cutting back things that can impact students in a positive way. This is a significant scenario that you're facing, and I commend you for looking through to the future here to try to do what's best for the kids and our staff.
Yeah, just a couple things to wrap this topic up. What we're doing is we're not overstepping our bounds, we're not going out on a limb, we're not taking unnecessary, unneeded risks. We're doing what's best for the community, to Kirk's point, and delivering the product that was promised. But we're doing so in a very prudent fashion with the wherewithal that we have as a district with our financial. And to echo the other comments, Nick has done an amazing job of keeping us in the loop and staying a step ahead of us with all the recommendations and the numbers to make sure we're doing everything the right way.
Is there a motion to approve the resolutions?
No further discussion. I'll move to approve. Oh, sorry, Mick.
Mr. Tullis, that would be one resolution at a time.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yep. Anything else, Mr. Davis?
That's
Okay. So I move to approve item 9B, supplemental borrowing resolution, 20 years or less.
Second.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mrs. Eichholz?
Aye.
Mrs. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. Summerall?
Yes.
Mr. Tullis?
Yes.
I'd also make a motion to approve item 9, letter C, supplemental borrowing resolution, 30 years.
Second.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mr. Summerall?
Yes.
Mrs. Eichholz?
Aye.
Mrs. Singh?
Yes.
Mr. Tullis?
Yes. Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you to the project team for coming out and giving us another great report. Always fun to see the pictures and the progress. With that, is there a motion to?
We just have just a point,
Sorry.
letter D, just that the finance
Oh,
committee minutes
geez.
are
Thank you.
attached to the agenda. No vote.
Thank you.
I just want to make one comment. I want to thank before we adjourn, I want to thank the project team. I know that we've asked a lot of questions. We've asked you to do lots of work around inflation, bidding, so forth and so on, and you've done a great job with doing the best in these crazy times. And then also, just appreciate what's happened. I know that, to echo Mrs. Singh's point, it's been pretty amazing watching some of the transformation as quickly as it happened, for example, in the primary school. So thank you guys for the work that you're doing.
And I'd just like to say, before we adjourn, we are so excited to welcome all of our staff for our opening cookout tomorrow, and they are all ready to see the kids on Thursday as we open an epic school year that is going to be awesome. And in 2023, it's going to get even better. And we saw a lot of that future tonight, so looking forward to a great school year.
Are you manning the grill tomorrow at the cookout?
Sorry?
Are you going to man the grill tomorrow? At the
I
cookout?
think we're going to have someone help.
Okay, good. With all of that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.